Welcome back. You're now watching the lifestyle segment of the weekend show brought to you by Holocrunch.
Crunchy, yummy goodness.
Yay.
Hello, you.
Hi, Andy.
It feels like it's been ages.
It does feel like it's been ages. But you see, someone said, oh, welcome back from your vacation.
It's showing. But you did travel.
But what vacation though, Andy?
Well, it's showing. I mean, you do.
I need a real vacation. That's what I
always
need.
need this vacation.
How are you doing?
Fine, thank you.
Very well. On today's lifestyle segment, we'll be talking about Abba Kyari, competency, compromises, and consequences. The National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA, on Monday declared suspended Deputy Police Commissioner Abba Kyari wanted for aiding and abetting drug pushing. The NDLEA disclosed this on Monday during a press briefing at its office in Abuja. The declaration by the NDLEA comes a few months after the former Police Intelligence Unit commander was indicted in an internet fraud case by a U.S. court. The court also had declared Mr. Kyari wanted to answer allegations of complicity in the $1.1 million bribe fraud perpetrated by Ramon Abbas, aka Hushpuppy. Subsequently, he has been arrested by the Nigerian police force and 4 other police officers alongside him. Joining us today to talk about this, we have
DIG Habila Joshak, retired former DIG Operations, Nigerian Police Force. Good morning and welcome to the Weekend Show.
Good morning and thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Mr. Habila, it's a pleasure having you on the program despite the very heavy topic that we have we'll be discussing today. The first question that pops to mind is what sort of lapses occur in the police force that such weighty allegation can be leveled against one of its own?
This is an isolated case. This is a case that involves an officer who has been recognized and honored for his ability to perfectly carry out his duty. He has had national and international award. And this is a simple assignment that we expect that a Deputy Commissioner of Police should be able to prosecute. This is an isolated case. And we don't expect maybe the Inspector General of Police or the police authority to get to know this. But you know also that the information that was dropped, that he was being fingered in that, the force did not waste time in suspending him and then throwing him out open for investigation. And so this is one of the isolated cases that the Nigerian police is facing. And I also agree with you that there will be a lot of interpretation to this, and the police will be held accountable to what has happened, that this has happened. And so this is a wake-up call. But I can assure you that I think the Nigerian police will not let this go. And the Nigerian police already is taking steps to ensure that he is open to investigation and then processes until they get to what exactly has happened.
So I'll start by commending the IG of Police for dissolving the IRT teams and the likes which DCP Abba Kyari worked on. But like the saying, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't agree that this is isolated because on another issue, we had Ibrahim Magu, who was the acting chairman of the EFCC. And there were allegations which were brought up against him time and time again. And he remained acting until it got to a point where he had to be removed and investigated. Till today, we haven't seen any repercussions or anything which has been done about that. And then Abba Kyari's issue now comes in. So do you feel it's a case of being power drunk, or there's actually an institutional problem where people get to a certain rank and then they forget the rule of law and they become above the law and do whatever they want?
Yeah, I think some of the things that have played out, one of it is that the individualistic personalities have decided to, of course, the mind construction of the individuals cannot actually be seen. These are officers that have been able to, abuse the responsibilities, abuse the rights and the privileges that have been given to them, to handle national, international or national matters. And I think also that, to be frank with you, the Nigerian police has a well-defined way of making and disciplining those of them that have abused that right. And this is something to do not just the Nigerian police, but the country as a whole. And I think that each time there is this kind of a thing, the police will just push you out, to the organization that is responsible for finding out what exactly has taken place. And no police officer or no one in the police that will have the ability to cover up the facts. So it's left for the government to actually look at this and then mete out whatever punishment to these officers that have abused their rights.
Mr. Habila, let's speak frankly here. The Nigerian police is known to be notoriously corrupt. When you claim that this case of Abba Kyari is an isolated one, it's pretty laughable to our viewers because the Nigerian police has garnered a reputation of collecting bribe and extorting the ordinary Nigerian. So when you have this case of Abba Kyari collecting money from drug lords allegedly and people who are committing internet fraud, you can't really say in good conscience that this is isolated, can you?
Well, I agree with you that it's a matter of concern. And I also agree with you that there are issues that have cropped up involving police officers that are responsible for ensuring safety and for preventing this kind of a thing, and they themselves have been victims. I agree with you that the Nigerian police must look inward to be able to find out exactly what kind of officers we have, and then to be able to detect that early enough so as not to open itself out for investigation. I agree with you that it's getting to a stage where there has to be some other processes set to know who exactly would be trusted with some responsibilities. I agree with you. And I'm saying again that if we talk about Abba Kyari, you know he's been on this, and then both national and international bodies have seen that and commended him, and he has a lot of awards. And so the Nigerian police would think that this kind of a thing should not happen. So the Inspector General of Police and the police itself cannot be happy about this. And whatever members of the public say, they have to take that in. There's a need for the police to reassess itself and to look at officers and then give out assignment and responsibilities to those that have been tested. I agree with you that there's something wrong.
Okay.
So it's almost a case of the more you see, the less you understand. Police welfare, especially for junior officers, it's quite abysmal. When you go to the barracks and where they stay, you feel some sympathy for them. You see their uniforms and the like, and these are for the lower cadre. But just in the news yesterday was reported, for instance, that Abba Kyari, during interrogation, admitted that he has houses in Victoria Island, Ikoyi, and Asokoro in Nigeria here as a DCP. On a particular platform last week, someone alleged that he stays in an estate where a police officer owns 4 houses, and each of the houses in the estate is worth 70 million. So that's almost 300 million. Yes. Being a retired DIG operations, what are the checks and balances put in place within the system to ensure that this doesn't even escalate to this level before we find out?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that there's some problem there. And I think that all what is playing out will make the management and supervising authority of the Nigerian police to wake up. It's not good to hear that a police officer that has been assigned to do a particular duty had that ability and that kind of character that amassed wealth, and that these things are in the public glare is not good for the Nigerian police. And I see that there is a gap And like I said, a lot of the officers are busy trying to enforce law. Those of them, like Abba Kyari, had done a lot of exploit. And so that made the police to be carried away that this guy is something that somebody that will give more opportunity, and that this is a man that is trying to do those of the things that would have been impossible. Not knowing that a lot of extortion, because this money gotten is not police money that is budgeted, that is under his control. This is the power and the authority that he has, that criminals, eat and dine with him. And so we need to police our officers that are given some sensitive role. And so I think this is truly one of the gap that has not been looked at. And it is the earlier the better. The Inspector General of Police and the supervisor, like the Police Service Commission and the Minister for Police Affairs, must set some arrangement on ground to make sure that officers of that nature are not allowed to go build houses. Because of course, before now, we expected that people should know, the Nigerian police should know, the authorities should know, and the supervisory department of the Nigerian police should be able to pick this while this man is building those houses and then lavishing money. And so I think there's a gap. And I hope too that with what we have on the ground, this is a wake-up call. Yes.
Speak to me more about this. I love the fact that you frankly admitted that there's a lacuna in the system.
Yes.
Your name was, tossed out there in the public as one of the people who were being considered as the next IG before you were retired. If you were IG as of today, what would you do differently?
Well, the present IG will also work with him, work together with him. And I also think that he has the capacity to be able to check all this. We've had a lot of challenges for those of us that are in operation either in Maiduguri or you find me in Zamfara. And every other day I'm on in that helicopter to go right out there to ensure that the security operatives that have been sent there are doing the right thing. That's what I do. And then the Inspector General of Police, the present Inspector General of Police, I believe in who he is. And I'm going to think that, you remember when all these allegations crop up, he never wasted to push them out to members of the public. Because, of course, the Nigerian police is supposed to be seen as that mirror, that is the first one line of action that will prevent this. And here it is, they are involved. And that was why the first one, you remember, he pushed him out for opening him up for investigation. This also is also going to open him up for investigation. He didn't need to ask the minister. He did not need to ask the chairman Police Service Commission. But he did that and later told them that this is what is happening. And so I think the Inspector General of Police and the supervisors and the ministry that is responsible must go back to the drawing board to make sure that supervision, and assignment giving must also be followed with assessment and knowing exactly what it is. Because if we have that is very effective on ground, somebody like me would not begin to build estate without people knowing. And so I think this.
So when you say supervision,
yes,
what do you mean?
I mean that even the Inspector General of Police, what he does, the minister and the chairman Police Service Commission should be able to have, things around him for them to make sure that he has not done anything that the members of the public will hold against the police. We need to get to know our officers. If I begin to be very flamboyant, they should be able to find out what is making me to have all that I have. Why am I in this place? Who is building this? And why do I get the money to begin to do an estate? Why do I have money that I travel? Why do I have, what life do I live? Because I'm a public individual, and the Nigerian police is a special organization that we must be able to show the way. And once you do those things that members of the public sees, because it's difficult for members of the public to open up. And so I think that the Nigerian police should set up another outfit that should be able to know who, on a daily basis, what do you do, and why do you have to do this, and from where do you get this to do this. And I think it's going to help a lot.
Almost like the Code of Conduct Bureau. So there's this notion and there's this narrative out there saying people like Abba Kyari can't be working alone, and that the police hierarchy and a lot of people are going to be tied to what he is doing. Interestingly, one of the 4 police officers arrested for this was at an event I moderated last month, and he was representing the IRT from the Office of the Inspector General of Police, and now his name is in the news. Like she said, will you say that this isn't a full circle where even higher officers are involved? Will we say that the hierarchy is not aware of this?
Well,
or involved in it? Because, for instance, Abba Kyari was able to provide 7 million naira per kilogram of cocaine for the drug deal, which was about 35 million naira in dollars, about $61,000. To give the NDLEA officer, that's a lot of cash for one police officer to just come out and bring. And so he can't be working alone, can he, even within the system?
No, it's not possible for him to work alone. There are others that will go down with him. There are others. And one thing in the police is that once you start investigating me as an officer, in fact, all other individuals will be very willing to tell you all that I've been doing. That is the good thing about that. 2, the Inspector General, the one that I know, and the present one, will not be part of what is happening. I'm very, very sure that he won't. And I'm also sure that he is not going to interfere with this investigation. But like I said, it has happened. Yeah. And of course, everyone will be looking for an opportunity or to pray that this does not happen again. But the Abba Kyari cannot be the only person. There are others that must go with him. And because of the kind of personality he is, people just think that he wouldn't do what he has done. And then because the IG and others have been very, very busy, like I told you, there's a gap. And this gap has to be taken care of, so that every other person that has this, we should have known this before this time. And so I don't think anybody is happy, and anybody is saying that this, and that's why, we know that those that are accused for a crime are preserved to be innocent until it's proved. But it's very glaring that there are a lot of things that have happened, and every other person that is involved, I can assure you that these people will be fished out. And they've thrown them out already to members of the public and the law to take its course. And I think that's a very good one.
Okay. Finally, Mr. Habila, before we let you go, I wonder, what role does culture have to play in all of this? Because we speak to, members of the police force, and we see how excellently well they do when they go for trainings abroad. They always, come out, first in their class. They always, are able to adapt to the different climes and adjust and behave like the proper professionals they are meant to be. But when they return to Nigeria, they start picking up these bad habits again. So what role does culture and our societal norms have to play in the way the police force conducts its activities? And how can we change that for the better?
Yes, the culture and the kind of people and what we do in this country has a lot of effect on the Nigerian police. The Nigerian police, before now, the government is doing its best, to improve on the welfare, but we're not there at all. And so you see police officers on duty, the police officers that stay in Kefi, because there are places where police officers must stay. You cannot afford to have, a place here in Abuja, the capital city. So you either go to Kefi to be able to get something that you can afford, and you can imagine somebody leaving Kefi every day to here to Abuja, and there are no provision for transportation for the people, either the cash or the vehicles. They are not available. Nobody cares where you stay, and nobody cares how you come to work. And so these are issues. So when you see police officers being deployed, you discover that they tend to also begin to beg, begin to extort money, because they need that money to go back. From here to Kefi, you know how much that costs. From here to Zuba, they cannot afford to remain here. There are no barracks. And that's why the other time I was telling the Commissioner of Police here that we need to align, because the Chairman Police Service Commission at one point even told me that his dream is to ensure that there are sufficient barracks when there's any incident happening here. All we do is to carry your whistle, go to the police barracks, blow a whistle, whether it's 1 a.m., 2 a.m., people will file out, and you tell them there are issues, and everybody will just sign his arm and go to protect. But this time, there are no barracks. So here, if you wanted 200 police officers in Abuja at 1 a.m., you are not likely to get them because they are not here. They are in Zuba, they are in Kuje, they're so far. And so the government should try as much as possible, you know, to ensure that the basic needs of the Nigerian police is provided. 400,000, presumably, or more than that. And we have a lot of them that you have to go through the police, it's a university in Kano. And you have to go through that. We have a lot of very polished police officers that are coming out. And you could see also that if we have some assignment outside the Nigerian police itself, they do well. They don't do anything, they don't extort. They are everywhere. They're in most of these countries, and they do excellently well. But here, they're not catered for. The government must go back to the drawing board and begin to look at the police. Of course, I don't think any police officer would encourage maybe a very senior officer that want to be up there, want to be so rich. That police officer will blow a whistle. But because of the pecuniary thing, because of lack of what the sustenance of himself and others, they give in. And so we need to look at that, because we have people that can make out the Nigerian police.
Well said.
Yes.
Retired DIG Abela Joshak, thank you so much for your time on today's program. Brilliant submission, and thank you so much for speaking frankly with us.
Thank you.
We'll take a short break right now. When we return, more on The Weekend Show. Don't go anywhere.